Let's get going. Hey, I'm so glad that you friends are here with me today. Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you that are catching us here live on Facebook as well as YouTube, we're really glad that you're here. Those of you who are over here on Instagram, we're so glad that you are here as well. Feel free and chime in with questions in the Q&A spot, as well as feel free and just leave any comments you want. We'll make sure and catch those and drop those over on our other feed as well. Let's adjust this just a bit here. That's a little bit better there. So happy Friday, friends. It is Friday, July the 10th, I believe. If that's the wrong date, well, then just pretend it's the 10th. That's what we're going to go with for now. We talked about last week, we said that July 1st was the new January 1st, right? We said that what we were going to do is we were going to look at the year in a way that was going to give us the opportunity to kind of assess what was going on in the last 6 months. How do we take that and use that moving forward in the next 6 months? And then what do we want to do with that? How do we really want to leverage our opportunity that I think many of us have been given to be able to say, okay, the first 6 months, there have been some incredible things that have happened. There have been some absolutely detrimental and horrific things that have happened. What can we take? What have we learned? What have we seen? What do we know about all those experiences? How do we take that as an assessment for the first 6 months and look forward to how we're going to build something in the next 6 months? And so what I want to do with you, those of you here on Facebook and YouTube, as well as those of you who join us on Instagram, each week for the next 4 weeks, so every Friday for the month of July, what we're going to do is we're going to have a 4-part process, okay? And each parts that we're going to take ourselves through are going to consistently build on this idea of that July 1st is the new January 1st. Okay, so every week we're going to have a new part that's going to consistently build on each other. That'll give us the opportunity to find clarity in ourselves, to begin to look at how do we want to structure our life, what do we want to do with our time, effort, and energy. Each of them should compound and build on themselves. Now, a part of what we're going to do, we're going to give a little bit of dabble of identity mapping as well. Okay, not today. That'll be probably next week. We're going to jump into that because we're going to reference it a little bit today. But what we're going to do is I want to give you a taste of one. I want to make sure you have some practical tools to put into place. Number 2. I want to make sure that you have an idea of what identity mapping is, what it's like, and how you could potentially be involved in that. And then 3, just want to show you a little bit of what coaching is like, what it's like for us, how we mobilize and how we create momentum in our group coaching, what we do with that, and then how do we consistently try to build the opportunity for ourselves to be able to engage in that way, okay? So today, again, we said that July 1st was the new January 1st, okay? We're kind of going to reassess where we are, what's happening, what do we do with that? And so what I want us to do is today, the theme for today is called Rhythms and Routines. Okay, so if you're a note taker, I'm not sure if you're watching this live video and you're taking notes or not, but if that's your style, I want you to write that down: Rhythms and Routines, and that's going to be the first thing that we're going to chat about in part 1 of our 4-part series of our Happy New Year. Maybe we'll call this series Happy New Year, and then what we'll do is part 1 will be Rhythms and Routines. Okay, that's what we're going to chat about first. I know that it's noon, and yes, I'm still drinking coffee, but welcome to my life, okay? Just makes me feel good about myself. So it'll keep me energized for our time today. So rhythms and routines. So having ourselves a new year, giving ourselves the opportunity to look at it from a new year means I think there's opportunities. And I wrote down in my notes, there's opportunities for R&R, but I don't mean rest and relaxation. I mean rhythms and routines, okay? So there's opportunities for R&R, but I think before we can determine what those are and what those can be, I think one of the most important things that we have to be able to do, and unfortunately, we're not fancy enough with our platform on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram to try to like share a screen or a slide with you, because that's just way too aggressive. So for now, what we're going to do though is, here's what I'm going to ask you, because I think we've all had enough of an opportunity for us to have either experienced or to gone through some sort of core values exercise over the course of our life, right? Like at some point, we've all gone through something like that. And so what I want you to do is, I think before we can get into building any sort of rhythm and routine in our life, but even before we define those, I think we have to have a better understanding, or make sure we have a clear understanding of what it is that we value. And when I say value, I mean like what it is, what are some of our core values? Because I think that's one thing in my experience. That's why it's a key part of what we do in identity mapping. But I also think it's a key part of, there's a kind of a holistic, when I say that, I'm talking about the whole picture per se, nutrition and health coach that I work with, who's fantastic, by the way. Her name is Liz. And one question she always asks me when it comes, she's like, hey, in the next 20 days, what do you want to do? Next 30 days, what do you want to do? So I tell her, and the question she asks me almost every time is, and she's kind of using my own weapons against me, right? She says, how does that relate to your values? So if you want to make sure that you're going to ride your bike X amount of times to work, you're going to ride it 2 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever that is. And I'll say, yeah, I want to do it 4 days a week. And she's okay. Tell me how that ties to your values. And I'm like, well, 4 days a week doesn't really tie to my values. Maybe 3 days does. Right. And she's like, okay, well, she was like, it doesn't matter what the goal is. I'll help you find a way to do it. But I have to know that you believe it's going to support what it is that you value. And so I think before we create rhythms and routines, I think we have to do the same thing. So what I want you to do is I just want you to write down, just pick 2 for now, okay? I'm going to come up with 2 words that you would say really define your core values, okay? 2 words that you would use to describe 2 of your core values. Now, what I'm going to do for you is I'm just going to start rattling off some words, okay? I'm just going to begin to kind of read you a list. If any of the words that I mention kind of strike a chord with you, or you're like, ooh, that one, I like that one, then I want you to just make a note of it, okay? But I need you to, for at least for our time today, I need for you to at least have 2 of those, okay? I need you to have 2 values because we're going to kind of use this as our foundation and our filter as we talk about our rhythms and routines, all right? So I'm just going to start rattling off words. If any of those strike a chord with you, bam, I want you to write it down. I'm going to go quickly, so be with me here. I want you to write it down, and then I'm going to come back and have you share those in just a second, okay? Those on Facebook as well as on Instagram. I'm going to want you to share your 2 values because we're going to use that as we talk about rhythms and routines, okay? So here we go. Hold on tight. I'm just going to start listing words for you. Any word that strikes a chord, I want you to write that down, okay? Here we go. Accomplishment, achievement, appreciation, belief, caring, credibility, dedication, determination, dependability, energetic, enthusiasm, ethical, equality, excellence, free thinking, fun, faithfulness, forgiveness, generosity, genuine, gracious, grateful, happy, helpfulness. All right, we're halfway right there. We're halfway through, so I'll give you a little break to catch on up. If you have any words, and you can write down more than 2 right now. We'll go back and cross them off till we land on our final 2. All right, let's wrap it up. Honesty, honorability, hope, imagination, integrity, intelligence, joyfulness, kindness, knowledgeable, learning, love, loyalty, nurturing, originality, openness, optimism, perseverance, persistence, professionalism, truth, unity, vulnerability, and wisdom. Okay? Those are all your words. Those are all your options. So what I want you to do now is I want you to make sure you have 2, okay? I want you to write down what are the 2 things, what are 2 of the words that I said that for you today are going to kind of be the root, the foundation for saying, okay, moving forward, this is really what I would say I want my values to be, okay? These are the 2 things I'm going to use as my filter. So when you're ready, they're on Facebook, throw those in the comment section. Those of you join us on Instagram, feel free and throw them in the comment section as well. That way we can reference those. But again, we have to have an understanding of what our values are if we're going to begin to build any sort of rhythm or routine, because it's required for us to have the ability to know what are we going to run, what filter are we going to run this through as we move forward. All right. Everybody feel good? When you're ready, throw those in there for me. Throw your 2 values there in the comment section. If you can. If you're watching this and it's clipped up on your dashboard and you're driving, don't type those. We don't want that to happen. But if you're there at your desk or you're at home or on your couch or whatever it is, throw your values in there for us. And as you do that, let's start talking about rhythms, okay? So rhythms and routines. Here's what I mean when I say rhythm, okay? Rhythm is the pace at which we move best. Belief and accomplishment. Thank you so much, Tristan. Okay, rhythms, I'm going to say that again for you. Rhythms are the pace at which we move best, okay? And I want you to think about it like this. When you think about music, right, the rhythm is what allows you to move, right? The rhythm is the thing that gets you moving. The rhythm is the thing that keeps you moving, okay? So as we think about building rhythms and routines in our day, in our week, in our month, and in our life, I think I always want to start with rhythms because rhythms are the way in which we understand we move best, the pace at which we move best, okay? And so just like music, you hear a certain song and it has a certain rhythm. What does it do, right? You can tell very quickly people who have rhythm and people that don't, right? You can tell very quickly when you're playing a song or you're at a wedding or you're at the club, if that's your jam, right? You hear a song and then there is a rhythm by which you recognize, ooh, that person has great rhythm. And what does that mean? It means that person is moving fluidly with the music. That person is moving fluidly with their surroundings. They're moving fluidly with what they have. Okay. I want you to think about rhythms that way in your life as you set a precedent for what the rhythms are going to be. Okay. On different parts of your day. I want you to think about it, that almost effortless movement that we create, the rhythm that we have with how we operate. All right. And the reason for that is because I think I like to break our day up into 4 parts. Thank you so much for that. Genuine faithfulness, and we have caring, vulnerability. I love those. Okay, so keep those, you guys. Generosity, honesty, great. Love that. Keep those 2 words, because we're going to need those as you start to build out your rhythms and routines. And so here's the way that I want you to think about it. Okay, rhythms are the pace at which we move best, and so I'm going to break up our day into four distinct parts. Okay, and here are the 4 parts. We have morning, we have midday, we have afternoon, and we have evening. Okay. And you can break those up however you want. I'm just trying to give us a general language for now on how we want to break those things up. Okay. And so when it comes to rhythms, right? We said that rhythms are the way in which we move best. Okay. And I'm going to break our rhythms up into 4 distinct parts. Okay. So if you're taking notes, you can write those down. I'm going to throw them up here for you as well. Okay. That's morning. That's midday. All right. Then we have evening. Or afternoon. And then we have evening. Okay. And here's what I mean by that, right? We have our rhythms. We have morning, midday, afternoon, and evening. And when we think about these 4 parts of the day, I want you to think about, and each of these categories, how do you feel like you move best in those spaces? Because before we can get to tasks or calendars or invites, or even setting routines or structures on how we want to operate in our day, I believe that if we don't understand ourselves and we don't understand the rhythm by which we work best, the rhythm that gives us the ability to kind of create a cadence, if you will, we've talked about that word before, a cadence that allows us to really operate in a way that is beneficial to who we are, then I think inevitably sometimes we set up things that are just never going to work for us. No matter what the book says, no matter what we think we're supposed to do, no matter what we read and it told us it was supposed to be a certain way because we read it like this and now that doesn't matter. We have to understand ourselves enough to know what our rhythms are so that we understand how we want to build a routine inside of that rhythm, right? So I'm going to give you a couple examples. So for me, if I look at these 4 categories, again, the 4 categories are morning, midday, afternoon, and evening. Okay. So morning for me, if I'm having it my way, the way I think I operate best, on days that I am working is I want to get up early and leave immediately. Now I'm married. I have 2 kids. I have almost a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Okay. And for me, my rhythm feels like it works so much better on days that I work where I can just get up and go. I get up, shower, get dressed, make sure there's some coffee and food out for Sarah and the kids, and then bam, I want to be out the door in the office 7:30. Because there's a window between like 7:30 and 9:30 for me that if I can get in there, if that rhythm feels so good. If I can get my cup of coffee, quiet, get some lush lo-fi playlists on the background, I get the traffic going by, the sun is good, the light is right, and I feel like I can get in the zone. I can get in the wave right when I do that. But I got to understand that that's not always the case. But when it is the case, I know that rhythm in the morning is good for me. Now, on the days that I'm not going to work, the rhythm is I want to stay in bed as long as I can. I want the kids to get up. I want them to come get in bed with us. I want to cuddle. I want to make coffee and get back in bed, have breakfast, get back in bed. I like that slower pace to what things are happening. Okay. As I think about midday, right? I know that at midday, when I say midday, that's like that 11 to 1, right? Kind of that lunch. I need to pick me up. By 11, typically I'm like, ooh, I'm tired. I need something. And I try for it not to be coffee. Today, not the case. Today, the pick me up I need is coffee. So I'm taking it. But not every day I want it to be coffee at noon, okay? And so, but I have to understand that I need that. That's not a good time frame, right? That's why we're doing this show at noon, because I need this thing to spur me to get going, all right? The afternoon is I want to be done with work at 2 and go home, or I want to know that I can be here and work until 5, right? I want to understand that. And for me, that's the rhythm that I want to be able to create in the afternoon is I want to like hit this pick me up, push to 1:32, bam, lock it up, head out, I'm gone, done for the day. Or let me stay here till 5. Working until like 3:45 or 4 is just really, I don't know. I feel like I'm running out of time. I don't know why, just what it does for me. And then last thing, evening, I want to be around people. I want to be around people and hang out and engage, which right now is very difficult because you can't really do that. or I would just like our kids to go to bed at 5:15 and just hang out with Sarah, which I know neither of those things necessarily are possible. But I'm thinking about the rhythms. That's what I enjoy in the evening time, right? And I enjoy when the weather is not quite as hot as it is right now, because being outside, being with the kids, being with the family, I love that. So I want you to think about for a second, you got to be able to think about your rhythms. What are the rhythms by which you believe you operate best? And our ability, I think, to begin to recognize those, our ability to recognize what our rhythms are in that space, I think actually gives us a chance to be able to say, as I begin to build my routines, which we're going to define in just a second, as I build my routines, I understand the rhythm by which my body operates best. And because of that, now I know that I can create certain routines inside of that rhythm that really allow me to thrive. It really sets my day up so that I know that I can. And it's not necessarily possible all the time, but if I could get up at 5:50, begin the office at 6:15, and then be done by 2:00 every day, that's a dream. Like I would cry. I know there's a lot of meetings happen after 2:00, unfortunately sometimes, but like for me, that is because I just feel like and then I can let it go, turn it off, shut it down, be at home, and I'm fully engaged there. That for me, that kind of rhythm makes sense, right? Thinking about the routines that follow that. Okay, so we said rhythms are the pace at which we move best. Okay, so now let's define routines. And I believe that routines are the reoccurring actions that are going to allow us to thrive. Our routines are the reoccurring actions that allow us to thrive. It doesn't have to necessarily be a specific schedule per se, right? Like when I say routines, it is the expectation that there's a chunk of time that is going to happen the same way over and over and over, okay? And so when we're able to say, what are the rhythms in my life? What's the pace at which I operate best? How do I then create routines inside of that rhythm? Knowing how I move, how do I create a routine that allows me to consistently get things done in a way because I know that these are the routines that allow me to be successful. And so for myself, I don't necessarily love a super regimented schedule. Okay. I don't necessarily love like bam, 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 these things over and over and over. That doesn't, it exhausts me to go from this, to go from this, to go from this, to go from this. Not into it. Don't like it. Okay. What's up, Sean Carter? I don't like it. Love you too. What I like is I like to think about blocks of time. Okay. I'm not looking for like bam, 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 because if I have a meeting here, then I got to jump online, then I got to go back and write something. I don't like that. What I prefer is the routines for me that I believe allow me to operate best are the kind of routines where I get to block off more chunks of time. What's up, Ruben? Where I get to block off chunks of time. Where I know that from, let's say I come in the office, I'm here by 7:30. From 7:30 to 9:30 is a window by which this happens. And whatever needs to happen inside that window that fits that category, I get to do. And then after that, there's a chunk of time here. There's a chunk of time here. So I know on Mondays are kind of my coaching days. And so Monday mornings are group coaching and Monday afternoons are individual coaching. That's pretty much what Monday is. And in between there, if I need to like get some things done or look at the pipeline or all that kind of stuff, that's great. But really at the end of the day, those are the two chunks for me that like I'm really I'm looking at. And so like for me, when I think about routines is I want those chunks of time to know what to expect. I'm not a huge fan of being locked down, but I like to know what to expect in each of those spaces. And then even thinking about more practical things. Like for me, I know that I like to ride my bike to work when I can. And because it allows me to exercise, but also get to work, but also it slows me down. It also allows me to clear my mind. Like I know for me, the routine of being able to do that, what it does is it removes the thing. I got to work out today. I'm going to ride my bike. Bam, done. I don't think about it. Right. Then I can go, okay, what else? Well, it also helps me, allows me to be green because I'm not really running my car. So great, chalk that up for a win. I will say the most important thing when it comes to routines for me, especially when it comes to knowing the cadence and no pun intended of like riding my bike to work, is like the 20 minutes it takes me to ride home because I don't have my phone. I'm not answering emails or on Instagram or anything else. Like it allows me to decompress and clear my mind, expend a level of energy. So when I walk in the door, even though I'm pretty sweaty because it's real hot in Texas right now, is that I get to go home. And then when I get home, I've exercised, check, work, check, cleared my brain, check. And for me, that routine, when possible, sets me up for success in so many other areas. And really, that's the way that I want you to think about rhythms and routines right now. Is I want you to think about that as you begin this new year, that our rhythms and routines ideally should be the things that not just set us up for success, but really allow us to put ourselves in a position to go, do I know myself well enough to know the kind of rhythm that I need in my life that gives me the opportunity to set the kind of routines that I need in my life. And when I begin to look at both of those, I've given myself a framework, a structure to look at, to be able to say, this is the way in which I want to operate now moving forward, right? And so that's my challenge for you. That's my encouragement to you. I want you to think about knowing that we have an opportunity. It's July 1st is the new January 1st. What's that, Marty? Hey, Annie, is I want you to be able to say, do I understand the rhythms that are required in my life? Do I understand the way in which I move best day to day so that I can create routines, the reoccurring actions that allow me to thrive inside that space? And when I do that, it allows me to set myself up to be successful, to accomplish the things that I want, to accomplish the goals that I want, to be able to put forward the things I want to put forward, because I've given myself enough space to take a step backward and go, one, what do I value? That's going to be the front side, right? So if we go through and see some of the things that the people valued, we said generosity and honesty. We said caring and vulnerability. We said genuine and faithfulness. We said belief and accomplishment. Okay. As we went through and we talked about these values, when we know what we value on the front side, it allows us to have a confidence to come forward and go, knowing that, let's see, if we use Tristan as an example, knowing that belief and accomplishment are his two values, then as he thinks about the rhythms that he works best, some of those rhythms are going to be based on, do I believe in what I am doing? And does I give the opportunity to kind of check the box and say, bam, I want to move forward, right? Like, I think we have to be able to recognize those two things, because if we don't recognize those two things, inevitably we end up just being reactive in everything that we do over and over and over and over. And we never set ourselves up to thrive, right? We never give ourselves the opportunity to really go, but what is I know my rhythm: get up early, get out of the house, kill it, go home, be fully engaged, have a margarita. Okay. Like that is my ideal rhythm. Now that shouldn't be every day, but unfortunately it's been more days than I want, but like, that's my ideal rhythm. But like coming into the office at like 9:30 and working till 5:30, oh, it feels like I wasted a whole day. Even if it's only 2 hours, like I feel like I wasted a day. So then when it comes into my routines, I don't feel like my routines actually give me the opportunity to engage the way that I want. And so as you think about it, I think as we go through each part of this series each week, that's what I want you to think about it. Now, Marty on Instagram says, I've been actively working on that. You're so right. We all have a rhythm and a cadence that works best for us, but constantly be willing to reiterate and adjust. Yes, 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 yes. Right? Yeah, back to the hamster wheel we go. And I know that's even something for Marty from just following you. I know you and I have met a few times, but following you on social, like that's one thing that I would say that I want to just encourage you in. That's something in you that I've noticed and admire. One, I think is the ability to kind of pivot and switch, but also, those are the moments for you where I've been able to recognize, even just via social, you're exercising consistently, you're meeting with people consistently, you're learning consistently, you're engaging in challenging things consistently. Like I think all of those kind of fit in the process of how, at least from afar, right? Like take it for what it's worth. But I think I've noticed all those things from afar. Those are all part of the rhythms and routines that you have and are kind of set yourself up to be able to do that. And so I think that's a beautiful thing from the outside looking in. And I think that's for a part of all of us. I think all of us need to have that. I think all of us need to be able to see that. Tammy says, I think this is why I'm floundering a bit right now. I don't have anywhere at any time. Teaching is done, no school, theater's closed, and nothing to work on. So again, but I think here's one thing I want to encourage you, Tammy, in that is that so take where you are now, and that I don't know if this metaphor worked exactly, but I want you to. I can tell the coffee's kicking in because my pace of speaking is going faster, so I'm going to take it down just a notch here. What I want you to do is I want you to kind of take a step out, right? So leave you where you are, Tammy. Okay, leave yourself where you're sitting right now, and I want you to stay sitting there. And then we're going to do a little weird thing, but I want you to like go sit on the other side of the room so you can look back at yourself. Okay. And when you look back at yourself, I want you to look at the person who's sitting over there on the couch or your favorite chair. I'm not sure which one of those you have. If your favorite couch, your favorite chair, whichever one it is. And I want you to look at yourself sitting over there. And I want you to look at a person who has expended the majority of their life going, doing, planning, action, got it. And I'm not even going to put routine and rhythm. I'm just going to put react and act for 25 years. And so while you're sitting on your favorite chair, I want you to kind of leave and come back around and look back at yourself. And then I want you to be able to ask yourself, if now that you get a chance to create your own rhythm, what rhythm is going to set you up to succeed? Do you want to get up at 6 or do you want to get up at 8? You can do either one, but which one of those is your rhythm, right? What time does David leave? Do you want to get up when he's up or do you not? When you're up, then thinking about like, what do you want to do in that space when you begin to feel these rhythms, right? When you're awake, what's the first thing you want to do? Do you want coffee? Do you not? Do you like tea? Do you want water? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to wait and brush your teeth until 11 because you're at home by yourself and nobody can smell your breath, but it feels good to just be able to sit and be, I mean, again, I'm being a little dramatic. But I think you have to be able to ask yourself, and you got to be able to go, hey, you're right. No school, no theater, no teaching, no. So now we're just going to say, but you know what you do have the chance for? You have a lot of time for Tammy. You get a lot of time for Tammy to determine what are the rhythms and the pace in which she moves best. And look at it and go, what is my morning, my midday, my afternoon, my evening? What are the rhythms that I believe I can operate in that? What time does David leave? What time does he come home? And what do you guys want to do when he gets home together every day? And then we begin to set your rhythms, go, then what is my routine in that space that says, okay, I know my rhythm is I want to get up and I want to have a little bit of breakfast and coffee with David before he goes. I'm going to go back out I'm going to go to the front porch because I know you live in a place where there's great weather. I know it's probably a little humid and hot, but it's better than Dallas. So I want to go on the back porch. I want to have my coffee or my tea. And I'm going to set a plan for myself for the day and go, and here's, I'm just going off the cuff. So take this for what you want, right? But then I'm going to identify every morning, what is one thing from myself that I want to be able to work on. And when I say work on, I'm not saying pick up something bad to make better. I'm saying what's one thing you want to recognize about who you are that gives you the opportunity to engage that at a deeper level. Okay. And then I want you to say that. So that's number one. Number two is I want you to say, what is one person in my life I can reach out to communicate who they are and what that is. Okay. And then number three, I want you to be able to say, and what's one thing I'm going to do today new that I didn't do yesterday? One thing in myself I want to dive deep in. One person that I want to acknowledge in my life, and one thing new that I want to do today that I didn't do before, right? And I think when we give ourselves the ability to do that, you have right now, the rarest opportunity you've had in 25 years of your life to do that. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. So that's how I want to encourage you in that way, Tammy. My friend Sean says, when I look back, I see a person who chased accomplishment and affirmation of others. And I've learned that I lost myself along the way. And so I'm asking myself, what do I do for me? Yes, I think that makes perfect sense, Sean. I think in that space, your opportunity in that is to go the phrase, which I know it's kind of cheesy, but welcome to my life, right? But the phrase that I used to use was, don't give up your purpose for a pat and a praise. Right. And I know that's a little alliteration there, but, occasionally we got to throw it back to elementary to make sense for us all. That's by all, I mean, myself. And so don't give up your purpose for a pat and a praise. Right. And so I think for a lot of us, because we have grown up and found what at times can be the beauty of the instant gratification and affirmation, even from people we don't really want it from, when we get it, it still feels good. And so I think when we are able to kind of hone back in and say the pat and the praise, I feel good for a short, momentary set of time. But what I really want is to find, where is there a deeper value and a deeper meaning to the way in which I will move forward. And so when I do that, typically what's required is we have to recognize self first, right? But we've been taught, many of us, from many different avenues of our life, that thinking about yourself makes you selfish, and selfish is bad. But selfish is only bad if you are becoming selfish as a means to oppress someone else. If you choose yourself over someone else to cause pain to them and good for you, I would say that's selfish. I would say it is love to be able to recognize yourself, bring value to yourself, allow yourself to be in a place that is clear and healthy and has the ability to understand who you are, and then take that self and then give to others, which we say is selfless, which in fact, I think that's even a ruined definition. We say you have to be selfless, which means to get rid of yourself. I don't think you can serve anyone by getting rid of yourself. But I think we had to create a language like selfish and selfless, because we have turned things that used to make us proud into things that have given us pride. And we no longer have the ability to recognize another human being because we just want someone to pat our back. So we took a little turn there, kind of getting into a different topic, but I think it's valuable. And I think as it comes times to rhythms and routines, I think it matters, because I think if we're going to build a rhythm for ourselves, we have to know ourselves. And if we're going to build routines that allow us to thrive, it's going to require a recognition of who we are so we have the ability to give something to somebody else. But to be selfish means to look at oneself. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing as long as it doesn't cause pain to someone else. And then to live a life that is selfless. No. I want you to live a life that is full of self, with the intent to understand who you are and to build rhythms and routines in your life that give you the opportunity to engage and care for other people as a representation of who you are as an individual. Does that make sense? You with me? So, rhythms and routines. We define rhythm as the pace in which we move best. Everybody has that one jam, that one song that comes on. You're like, damn, there it is. You found your rhythm. That's the way I want you to feel when you wake up. And I know it's not every day, but some days, most days, I want you to get up because I want you to have pre-established what is the rhythm that I need to get myself going. Okay. And then when you establish what that rhythm is, I want you to say, now inside the rhythm, what is the routine that I need to create in order for myself to thrive, to bring all of myself into that space that'll give me the opportunity to be able to take blocks of time, and routines are the reoccurring actions that allow us to thrive. So as you think about your new year, I'm gonna wrap it up. Before I wrap it up, if you have thoughts or questions, throw them in there. It's a little bit of delay, so I know it'll take you a minute to hear this. So if you have thoughts or questions, throw them in the comment box. And we'll chat about them. Okay. If not, so appreciate you being here. Each week, we're going to build on this, okay? And so the reason today I want to talk about rhythms and routines are because rhythms and routines, I believe, are the beginning ways in which it gives us the ability to not only build a cadence for the pace at which we move best, but allows us to block time and set ourselves up so we can create the reoccurring actions that really allow us to thrive, okay? So I'm so glad you joined us. I'm so thankful that you were here. Those of you that watch us on Facebook and YouTube, those of you that are hitting the replay, if you watch this later, make sure and put #replay. I want to know that you watch it. I want to reach out to you. I want to send you a message. I might even send you an email. Join the Daily Rock. I might even call you. That's not true. I won't call you, but I will text you. So wherever you're at and however you're watching, I want to make sure that we can continue to engage in that way with you. And so those of you on Instagram, again, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. If it's something you like and you value on any platform, again, I'm going to say this because I'm shameless and I don't care. Share it. Tag a friend. Tag a friend if you think this is something that would be beneficial to them in our comment section. Have them watch it. Share it to your Insta stories. Anything that we can do to provide value to somebody else, hey, that's our number one desire. I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you for joining the Daily Rock. The Weekly Rock. If you have a desire to join the Daily Rock, you can shoot a text message to the phone number. It is 469-649-8441. And if anybody on my team is watching this Instagram live, if you don't mind throwing that phone number in the comment section for me, I can't type because it's up on a little pedestal here. But if you'll throw that phone number in the comment section for anybody that wants to join, we send a text message Monday through Friday, sometime in the morning as a way to challenge, encourage, and motivate you. It's free of charge. All you got to do is text this number, say, hey, I saw you on the Weekly Rock. I want to join, and we'll get you set up. And then right now that also comes with 30 free days on our online platform. And so I'm so grateful that you're here. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Happy July 10th or happy January 10th and the beginning of a brand new year for you. And make sure that you have the ability to build in your rhythms and your routines to who you are as an individual. And when you do that, I think it gives us the ability to live a life of deep conviction and confidence and gives ourselves the ability to serve those that we care about most. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us. Happy Friday.